Oh, you got your t-shirt on even. You are ready to rumble this time.
Yeah. So I'd like to say good morning and good evening to Bonita, the beautiful Bonita Capuano, who is on the other side of the world in Australia. For those who don't know me, my name is Fayez Moukarim. I am the Lebanese ambassador for One Small Town, which is this incredible movement that is going on around the world.
It is. It's so amazing. And it's really just taken off in the last few months, hasn't it? It's gone from like a movement, but it's just skyrocketed.
We need to send a lot of love to the founder, Michael Tillinger, who is a South African scientist and geologist and writer who started a movement called Ubuntu, which is I am because we are, unity within community. From that, the school of One Small Town was born, which is an economic model based on collaboration, co-ownership, working with Mother Nature, and being able to thrive as an economy. We have successfully activated the One Small Towns in more than 40 countries. We have more than 40 ambassadors. And right now, it's actually thriving in villages like Ras Al Matan, One Small Town Ras Al Matan, which is a beautiful village in Lebanon. And there's 3 other villages that are following, where we are reminding people how much abundance there is in this beautiful world.
Amazing. So good. I love that this is all coming. Why do you think now is the time? Why do you think it's now that it's really taking off? Like more people are coming along for the journey.
So knowledge is power, and there's no longer coherency when we see that we are being pushed into a world of separation and fear and scarcity. And then we realize, but wait a second, why are people dying from hunger when we can just, throw seeds in the ground and plant food? I mean, for people who don't know how the farming process works, one potato that just needs a little bit of sand and a little bit of fertilizer. And fertilizer isn't this like crazy scientific chemical that we need to import from, MIT or something. It's manure. You can just use manure, cow manure, and anything like that. Once you put that potato in the ground, you get 7 back within 3 months. So the best business or partner to be in is Mother Nature and farming. And again, this isn't about growing tomatoes and apples. You can literally grow anything you think you need, from food to medicine. I gave an example in our last interview that hemp was used by Henry Ford, who owned the Ford company, to actually create a car made from hemp, a truck. And he powered the truck from hemp oil. For those who don't understand how generators work, when they started the whole generator industry, it was never about crude oil or petrol. It was literally about vegetable oil and peanut oil to power those generators. Hence, you understand that there's something called biofuel going on, where we use corn, where we use algae, as a biofuel. So when we realize that there's an agenda being pushed, and then we know that there's a solution, and we're all coming together as one soul, one mind, sharing information, we realize that there is a solution to our situation. And again, we're not here to fight anyone. We're here to create an alternative system, and we have already won. We know the game. It's a game of chess. We are at checkmate.
Excited to see what happens as this unfolds for One Small Town and more places just pop up around the world. I actually want to talk about the concept of One Small Town, how it relates to education and the kids, about how what schooling's going to look like in the future. What's One Small Town's philosophies around school or education for kids?
So we have a lot of slogans that we have created over the years. One of them is we are using the tools of enslavement as tools of liberation, which is why, we're all for money and supplying our villages with excess money and abundance for them to thrive until they get to a situation where, why do we need money if, we have a Lamborghini factory and all the food I need is here. And if I want a Louis Vuitton handbag, I'll just get it imported. Other slogans are things like money does nothing, people do everything. And then my favorite is education, not indoctrination. And I'm actually an expert when it comes to what's going on in the education business for several reasons. One of them is I actually come from a family that owns schools. We have a successful school in England, in London, called the International School of London. We also have another one in Qatar, the thriving, beautiful economy of Qatar. where the World Cup just took place. And both schools are very famous in two distinct things. One is called the IB program, which is a program offered to children or students before they go to university. And then the other thing is forest school, which is a very important thing. I actually studied in that school in London from the age of 8 till 18 or 17. And now my daughter, Thea, who's a 4-year-old, also studies in that school. Now, what's amazing about the forest school is that it allows you to work with Mother Nature, to do self-assessment, risk assessment, to engage in, the natural world. So these programs are important and they have been successful. So implementing new programs isn't a very complicated thing. And once it does work, it can easily be copied around the world. So to me, education is something that we can have access to. And I personally have been a teacher in my life. I've taught a language, I've taught a subject like quantum physics at one point when I was in South America. For those who don't know my background, I've studied management, I've studied aviation, private piloting, I've studied quantum physics. I'm a professional chef. I love Mother Nature, and I've been investing for the last 7 years in alternative energy, electricity, and everything to do with the health world. I don't watch TV. I don't follow sports. I don't have any, nasty habits. All I do is engage in learning and trying to be the best father to my 4-year-old and best husband. So the education is a very important department because it's our perception of who we are, where we are, what we're supposed to be doing. And unfortunately, there has been an agenda to compartmentalize and to departmentalize the human race, where you are a lawyer, or you are an accountant, or you are a chef, or you are a teacher, okay, or an engineer, or you're going to play sports. Why not be someone that can engage in all of these subjects and empower yourself? I mean, if I'm going to have someone work with me as a doctor, what do you think is going to be a better person? A doctor who's only studied medicine, or a doctor who's been a chef in his life, or a doctor who's been a chef and a psychology major in his life? Okay. What we do is we add value to ourselves, and we realize that we are capable of learning so much more than they have taught us. I mean, you have geniuses like Nikola Tesla, okay, who's actually invented more than 500 different technologies, of which 320 are patented. Things like AC, alternative current, things like robotics, radio, were all given by Nikola Tesla. Induction motor that Elon Musk uses now in his company called Tesla. The point is, Nikola Tesla spoke over 7 languages. How was that possible? Was he some genius in a crazy way? No, he's a human being that allowed his organs to take advantage of his surroundings, okay? And he was always at the right frequency and vibration, instead of, being put in a world of let's watch cartoons all day and let's eat sugar all day, and you're going to do what you're told. So we believe that education is something that we should take back for several reasons. One, the human race or the students deserve to know about information that they don't know about. Second, we're about to change the world that they live in. So this idea that I'm going to go to school, primary, then secondary, then I'm going to get a degree, then I'll do my internship, then I'll probably get a job, then I'll start making money, then I should, rent a house or an apartment, then try and get married, then get a mortgage. The whole process will be eliminated, because you will start your life in a world of abundance, where your food, your electricity, your internet, your school, your health center, a clothes factory, toys factory are all available for you. You are the owner of these products on these companies. You will be receiving goods and services. You will be receiving dividends, money, okay? And you have access to the whole world. Because again, One Small Town is not about isolation. We are not here to isolate ourselves in some village and, grow tomatoes. We are about abundance. We are about technologies. We are about using robots and AI technology. But most importantly, we are about integrating the 195 countries around the world to work as brothers and sisters and share their technology. So this new paradigm shift that's taking place, and it's not something we want to do, we're doing, okay, and it's being played out in Ras al-Matan, requires a specific interference, especially in the education, because all of a sudden, you've changed what they know of reality, which is why it's a very important subject. I want to just say a quote that I had just sent you, and I would like to repeat it at the end. And this is one of my favorite quotes. And it is: the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read or write, but those who cannot unlearn the many lies that they have been conditioned to believe and seek out the hidden knowledge that they have been conditioned to reject. An example is a relative of mine. I'm not going to name her, but she has a PhD. We talk science, we talk facts. When she asks about evidence, I give her the evidence from PhD doctors or engineers, and then she can't even get herself to look at the evidence. Okay, there's a programming that has taken place, and if that information doesn't come from a specific peer-reviewed journal, or her direct boss or professor gives her the green light to read it, she no longer can. And we see things like this taking place in religion, and we see things like this taking place in the world of mobs and mafias.
Well, it's evident now that quote is on point, because who we thought was smart has turned out not to be smart. That academia smart, where you're using your brain, that's what, the old school mentality of that's what smart is. But then they're not the ones that know what's going on and aren't able to evolve. They've stopped their evolution when they went through the system and then stop their evolution of growing.
This is part of an agenda, a pyramid of information. I always give an example of the Manhattan Project that took place in New York and I think also Canada, where there was 100,000 people involved in creating, at that time, a nuclear bomb. Now, only 9 people out of the 100,000 knew what they were doing. And I have very close friends in the military. Some of our ambassadors are very high up in the military. And we have so much information on how the compartmentalization actually takes place, and nobody knows what the other person is doing. And when you have situations like that, you can literally take over and control information, especially in very important fields like science, fields like health, education, our history. Okay, I mean, anyone that knows science or information technology and physics should be a student of people like Faraday, like Maxwell, like Charles Steinmetz, like Nikola Tesla. When you start talking about people like Einstein, and that's more into theoretical physics, that's something that cannot be touched. It's just, stories and information on the board. And that is something we should always be very careful of. The same thing in the world of health. I don't want to go into the world of, COVID and conspiracies with you and stuff like that, but it was very obvious what happened. Forget about Fayez or Bonita. Let's talk about people like Dolores Cahill, who has a PhD in immunology, a virology expert who has patents in her name. She came up with information and she was censored. Since when is there censorship in science? So these are very delicate situations. And then, you look down the rabbit hole, and then you realize that companies like Pfizer have paid $7 billion in lawsuits because in a court of law, there was evidence to prove that there was foul play. And these are the times that they were caught. So this is information that we really need to dissect. And when we talk about knowledge, it needs to be always proven, experimentally, observably, repeatably. And the last example of COVID is Carrie Mullis, who's a Nobel Prize winner, who invented the PCR test, told the whole world that this PCR test cannot be used to detect diseases. You know what I mean? Who died 4 months before the whole COVID took place. So in our world of One Small Town, we're not going to allow some email to instruct me or to give me information or to wait for the New World Orders, United Nations, or World Health Organization to tell me, what to do or what science I'm supposed to follow. I want to see it for myself. I want to look at the electron microscope. I want to see the PCR tests. Okay. I want to do the scanning. Okay. I know that quantum physics is beautiful. So let's explore it. Okay. I want to take the kids and invite them to understand, what this air is, the oxygen and the nitrogen, how the soil works, what the sun really is, the beautiful portal that's giving us carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, what our bodies are capable of doing, okay? Why natural immunity is so much, better than injecting yourself or living, next to a pharmacy. So this is all information that we need to give. Most importantly, our children, our students need to learn to be happy. Okay, horses are happy. You don't find a horse that's depressed one day or upset because the other horse, spoke about him, or his self-esteem drops, or there's abuse on that level that we are, the mental abuse. Okay, and especially in the first 7 years. There's a Masonic saying that says, give us your kids for the first 7 years and then do what you please with them, because that's when all the programming takes place. So if we get them young, and what's amazing about our education model that we are implementing in Lebanon as a blueprint so that it can be replicated around the world, is that we're creating a curriculum. When does education start for a child? When do you think it starts?
Well, when do they get sent to school? They get sent to school when they're 5.
So education starts when the mother is pregnant. That's when it starts.
Of course. I'm saying when do they do it here?
Yeah.
Well, even preconception, isn't it? It's the preconception about how the mother's body is before she even tries to conceive, and the health and all of that is huge. And even actually going to that, Fayez, I have this conversation about even parents being more consciously making the decision to have children versus having them because that's what we do. I think there's a big piece that we can educate adults of. Why are you choosing to have a child? Do you plan on being around for that child versus putting it into a school, and getting taken care of by a school? So there's a lot pre stuff. Would you agree?
I always joke about 2 things. I mean, I once went to a wedding with my wife in Lebanon. We were here on a summer holiday. So they are the owners of Pepsi. I shouldn't maybe of Nigeria. The point is, a couple of $1 million spent on that wedding. 6 months later, the couple divorced. Okay, we should allow couples to live together for a couple of years. If they maintain that amazing relationship, they should throw that amazing wedding. When it comes to children, I think we should really understand the importance, the responsibility, the gratitude of having a child. Maybe we should start giving licenses. Obviously, One Small Town will move all of that away, because once the unit is restored, a mother understands this amazing blessing. I mean, I said in our last interview that a woman is superior to a man, because a woman is a stargate bringing souls from different realms. Okay, you are superior in your compassion, in your intuition, in your clairvoyance, this capacity you have to raise a child, while the man, can offer so many other things. It's very important. So yes, the education is important, not only to the children, but to the entire community, to the parents, to the mother, to the father. Again, when the unit is not broken, everything changes. What's happening these days is the mother and the father have to work. Both of them are leaving the house. Okay, the woman started working, which was amazing for the New World Order, because they started receiving a lot of tax. They were able to separate the parents. They were able to access the kids, okay, cause more corruption. So there's a lot of motives behind that. I'm all for men and women, being completely equal. But when it comes to that period of raising a child, that 3, 4 years, 5 years, I mean, I don't want to get very personal into my relationship with my wife or my daughter, but my daughter spent years breastfeeding. And that is a world of magic on its own. You're getting all the immunity, all the antibodies. There's a computer program going on where the milk transforms and changes based on the necessity of what the child needs. So this bonding is very important. Instead of, within a couple of months, no more breastfeeding. Now we're going to give her cow milk, okay, which has protein. However, it's nothing compared to what a mother's milk does, especially with the programming that doesn't take place. Hence why you have a lot of autism, you have a lot of allergies, you have a lot of, hormonal issues going on. So this world will be activated, where the parents will be restored to owning their lands, to having their food. I mean, this idea of the hunter and gatherer, where I used to go for hours to hunt, I think that was all nonsense, because they probably just had the cow tied, okay, on the corner, and once every couple of months they would slaughter the male cow, okay, or the male sheep, and that was it. And they had beautiful trees around themselves, and they had plants, okay, and they probably had water, okay, boreholes. So education is going to be very important to the parents and to the children, especially in this new structure that we are creating. It's like the prisoners. Once they leave jail, a lot of them commit suicide because they don't know how to react with society. They don't know how to embrace this change. They don't know how to take responsibility. They don't know how to be alone. And this is all part of the system. A reminder that our beautiful America, which has a $22, $23 trillion economy, is not an amazing America anymore. When 1 in every 3 is obese, when half of the population are diabetic, when 20 veterans in the United States Army are committing suicide daily, when 1,000 kids are being kidnapped daily, half of them come back, half of them are taken to islands, whatever it is, things are not looking so good. Millions are, in some sort of correctional phase. Unemployment is over the roof. We need to restore love. We need to restore unity. And One Small Town know how to do this. Remember, while I'm talking to you, I'm on more than 50 groups. I'm connected to every country in the world. Okay, I'm getting information like they're getting information from me. Okay, so this is power.
I love this. I'm so excited for this new world. I'm so excited. How does One Small Town, can you just walk me through a bit of an overview of what this is? Is it a school? Is it, because my vision is that the family and the community take precipice over the child's experiences, and there's more experiences for the kids versus a curriculum and having to learn a subject. So how does One Small Town see children being nurtured?
So again, Michael Tillinger always says that sound has light and light has a sound.
Yeah.
It's very important to maintain the right vibration, okay, in the school, and it has to have a steady frequency. Now, remember, not all children are the same. There's no such thing as one size fits all. This has to be an experience where they're growing. I love the idea that, a child is looking at a cobra, and then you start talking about the skin quality, the biology of the cobra. You can give a little bit of maths about the cobra, a history about the cobra. So you're embracing the love that the child has for something specific, and you're allowing different topics and subjects to be explored. Are we going to have a physical, tangible infrastructure for the school? Definitely. Is it going to be theoretical and bored? Negative. We will allow the child to experience a fire where they will get a hose and put the fire off with the water, okay, while they're wearing, the right uniforms. And then end of the experience, after, he's full of excitement and positive energy, we will discuss thermodynamics and pressures and the type of water that was used and why it was important to use that specific uniform, the helmet, the distance. So we will, first of all, allow them to enjoy what they are doing. We will make the experience an unforgettable one. And then we will engage in the theoretical part, okay, so that it is part of their program. And that was the topic of the day, fire and how to deal with fire. And this is how we will be dealing with all the different subjects. Now, we will be creating sets, just like a movie set, okay? So if there are, learning about biology or acidity, why not, show them the real acidity that exists in their mouths, on their bodies, and how it connects to a specific organ, like a meat, and then how it breaks it up and decomposes it, example. So it's all going to be a fun journey where they will be constantly in a fun fair. They will be in like an amazing movie set where they will have all sorts of toys, and they will be required to learn about all these toys. At a very young age, you can give them a plastic knife and allow them to cut fake carrots. But by the time they're 5 and they're 6, they should be cutting the carrot perfectly. Example. I always give an example of my sister's children who are in the American system in Lebanon learning versus, and their ages from 8 till 20, versus the local goat herder, okay, who works with us, who has his daughter who's 5 years old. That 5-year-old knows so much more than my sister's kids because she's constantly learning from her dad. She's working with, animals and nature and electricity and diesel and cars. She even knows how to ride a motorbike. So it is very important for our children to be engaged constantly. And that requires a couple of important points. One of them is the type of set we have. Second, the methodology in which we teach. In our previous interview, you asked me about how am I attracting the right people. Imagine in Ras Al Matin, which is the village we're in right now, which where One Small Town is taking place, a lady contacted me, and it turns out that this lady, who's self-taught, who has 3 degrees in education, created a methodology that's been peer-reviewed in the Middle Eastern journal called Hadatha, and she found a methodology in which she can access the mind, distract the front cortex, and allow kids to learn languages and subjects in an amazing way. And she connects that to their happiness and to the frequency they're on. And she even has small gadgets that she puts in the classroom to do with light and to music. So we're changing the methodology in which we teach kids. We're changing the curriculum. We're changing the sets. Okay. And again, school isn't something that should ever finish. I mean, all of us should be learning constantly. The day you stop learning is the day, you shouldn't exist anymore. Because remember, we live in a holofractographic universe where there's always information. There's an input and an output going on. There's a toroidal energy going on. So we're supposed to be learning and giving. So these kids will learn. Now, in our world, in our curriculum, we see that by the age of 9, our children will have their BS or Bachelor of Science. By the time they're 11, 12, 13, they could easily have a couple of PhDs. By the time they're 14, that's it. They've learned about all the technologies, all the knowledge, understanding the power of breath, farming, how to use a sword, how to build a radio, how to be a carpenter, a plumber, musician, singing, sports, what this construct is, and most importantly, how to work in collaboration, in co-ownership, in cooperation with their fellow brothers and sisters, and how amazing this structure is that we live in. And in order to get there, you need to break a lot of the programming that has been taking place. How many times have you heard that there's going to be a war over water? How many times have you heard there's going to be a war over oil?
Oh, yeah. Over everything. There's a war over everything.
But there's abundance of oil.
I love it.
There's abundance of water. Yeah. So we need to change the information.
Tell me, because you're mentioning PhDs and kind of, do you still feel we're going to go that direction? Like we're going to need a certificate or a certification? I get these questions all the time from parents I'm speaking to about, we're going to a place where it's all experience. You don't need to necessarily pass tests or have these. Do you still see us using these PhDs and kind of things to be certified?
It's basically the level you are on, the growth. So it's like when you're playing, Super Mario on Nintendo, it takes you into different levels. What level are you on? What level are you on? And again, because you're exploring so many different subjects, you don't have to, be on all the top levels immediately. This could be a process of 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. So we're actually exploring that, because the way we see it is we're not only changing the education on a primary level, but we're going to change it on a secondary level. We have an amazing team, by the way, of 15 intellectuals, all part of the education team of Lebanon. Some are in the States, some are in England, some are in parts of Asia, and most of them are here in Lebanon, where we're working on developing this curriculum. Because once we get it achieved, we want to implement it and transform what schools around the world are actually teaching and how they're teaching.
I love it. I'm all in. This is what I want to create too. So this is it sounds so good when you hear it and we're all coming together. Because it's almost flipping the script, isn't it? The way that it's done now with the schooling system, and that people think it's weird to look after your own children and to let them experience life. What do you say to those parents that are kind of sitting on the fence going, I know school's not great and I don't really want to send my child, but I'm still going to send them. How can we move into this new world? Like, what do you say to the parents that are sitting on the fence?
Homeschooling is a scientific fact that kids are much more smarter, and they're happier to an extent. Now, again, you can't have homeschooling going on while there's, sexual abuse or drug abuse or alcoholic abuse or constant distress. So there's no such thing as a one model. The idea that we send our kids to school is not only about education, but for them to have a social life, to enjoy themselves, and to give ourselves time to do other things. Now, we really need to understand the importance of being there for our children. I mean, The average age is supposed to be anywhere between 80 to 100. We obviously live much more than that if we really take care of ourselves. But you're only required to give 10% of that or 15% of that time to your children. So engage in them and enjoy them and embrace them. Now, it's not only about a comparison where, okay, our new education system is going to be much better, or the current education system, should be better than homeschooling because of the social benefits. It's about putting our kids in danger. So right now, if you have your children in public schooling, most of us know that there's also an agenda that's created where they are constantly being separated, the whole masks thing, the whole medical interventions that are being forced on us, the sexual question that's being played out. Okay, I'm all for freedom and independence and diversity, but don't force children on specific subjects and allow this conversation to take place naturally without hormone intervention and medical intervention and all that stuff. So it's actually a danger to keep your kids right now in the public school. Now, obviously, each country has its different criteria and different laws. London, England is, to me, ahead of the world in terms of history and technology. Why do our laws completely differ than those from Australia and Canada? Why did the whole COVID nonsense, shut down immediately, or the laws? So we need to really understand, are we putting our children in a danger? If we are, get those kids out of public schools, put them in a private one, or put them in homeschooling until one small town starts in a village close or near to you and allows your children to participate in this incredible new change that we're doing.
So do you think, so my understanding is it doesn't matter if it's private school or public school, they're the same. It's the same. Do you differentiate between the private and the public?
In my case, yes. Again, because, we know what's going on in our private school in London. We know who the teachers are, what their program is. We're very strict in specific policies. And my wife, remember, is a doctor. She's also a holistic nutritionist. She's part of the UK Medical Freedom Alliance of England that have fought the government in a court of law and proven, all the science. She's very, very tough, and she's a super mom. So she's always in contact with the school and the board and, sending emails and making sure nobody's messing with our daughter. I think it's much more easier to do that in a private school versus a government public one that, has a much different or wider range of students and usually a bigger agenda. And it's much more difficult to access the teachers versus a private one. Now, again, you really need to just, supervise what's going on, understand the different scenarios that could take place. I mean, it's like, when you talk about being healthy, what is health? It's a huge topic. You could be eating healthy, but, you're using the wrong detergents for your clothes, or you're constantly around specific paint that's toxicating your body, or maybe stress is destroying you, or a specific tea that you're putting sugar in every day. So it's a very, very big topic. So preventing problems or situations for our children is something you should get involved in, and you should understand what the world we are living in is, and be able to, make sure you supply the best life your children deserve to be in.
Beautiful. And so being I want to talk about that actually. What are you and your wife doing to be an advocate for your child? Like, now that your child is in school, what kind of things can parents do if they have chosen, or they are sending their kids to school at the moment? What would some tips you would give to be there for your child? Like, have conversations with the teachers. What are you suggesting?
First of all, you need to have conversations with your child. A 4-year-old. I found out at when my daughter was just 5 months old or even less, that she's actually communicating all the time. There was a doctor on Oprah Winfrey that spoke about the different cries. So I always took her as an adult that's trying to express themselves but didn't have the memory or understanding on how to use her mouth or her hands and all that stuff. I never took her as this person that that doesn't have a brain. It's important for your child, first of all, to understand the difference between eating unnecessary bread, to the wrong sugars, to not taking care of her body, to engaging in the wrong exercise or putting herself in danger. Okay, it's important for her to understand as much as you can, train her in understanding what's right and what's wrong. Now, in terms of the school, it's not some, Alcatraz jail that's miles away. It's your local school. You're supposed to know about the infrastructure, know about the teachers, what's the curriculum, what are the classes, what is she being taught, is that healthy for her, are they using the right methodology, is it safe, is it secure, are there any complexes being created, are there any unnecessary programming taking place, is she being bullied, okay, does it smell right, are they allowing her to rest, to relax, are they communicating with you if she's in distress or she's in pain or she just fell, okay, are they respecting the menu that you've given for your daughter? I mean, my wife has had done a terrific job in not introducing sugar to my daughter. She tries to use alternatives at all times, even stuff like gluten to the power of 10. So she tries as much as possible to engage with her teachers, and if they're going to give a cake, she gives them the flour and she tells them, please use this specific brand of flour and use it for all the students. So she tries to interfere as much as she can in that way. And these days it's much easier because there's WhatsApp groups, there's more communication going on, there's Zoom meetings that are taking place, there's reports. We're constantly being giving pictures of our daughter's daily activities, at least one day yes, one day no, or every other day. So you need to make it happen, get involved, especially in the first 7 years of your child's education, because after that it becomes very difficult after the program has been implemented.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and even the first 7 years for your gut health are so important on building that microbiome and having all of that beautiful, so reduce the chances of any diseases and illnesses, and because your gut speaks to your mind and the mental illnesses, all the stuff, So
yes.
So important. That 7 years is so important.
Definitely. And especially epigenetics. Biology of belief is real.
Mm-hmm.
Bruce Lipton, he has a PhD in cell biology, proves it scientifically. And he always talks about stuff like the honeymoon effect. When you're happy, how your health improves. So we need to take all that into consideration. Again, we live in a world of collaboration, cooperation. This idea of competition exists in specific breeds or animals, but it doesn't represent Mother Nature. As I had told you before, Susan Simmert, a PhD in forestology, explains how trees speak, how they communicate, how they help each other. And I've read a nice book called The Secret Life of Plants, where a CIA expert puts lie detectors on plants, and they end up, that they all have extrasensory perceptions. They recognize when somebody's hitting them or abusing them. So we all have to go back to communicating. And I like the saying that says, the only thing necessary for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing, something like that. We need to step up. We need to interfere, okay? And we need to take back our rights. Now, how are we going to do that if we're working 50-hour jobs trying to pay rent or pay electricity or pay our insurance? This is all part of the programming and the evil agenda that has us completely occupied. And anytime we literally have, we're spending it on our, trying to get our dopamine levels back by watching TikTok, short reels, or WhatsApp, or Facebook or YouTube. And most of us who have businesses or are working in businesses actually need to use social media. And we're constantly checking what was posted. So this is all a distraction that's taking place.
100%. So what do you say then for while we're waiting for, not waiting, but what do we do? What are people, normal, everyday people that are part of this wanting to create a better world? What is one or two things you would suggest that they do to help us as a collective consciousness move towards that new world? What can we do for the kid, like specifically the kids, I guess? What can parents do?
Okay, first of all, do not approach your child when you are on a negative vibe, okay, or negative frequency. Make sure you start by loving yourself, by appreciating yourself, by loving this incredible construct that we are in, by understanding that we've already won. One small town is here. We are the ones that we have been waiting for. Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, God, Chi, Prana, nobody's coming for you. It's you. You are the one that's going to take the right decisions, okay? Energy in motion, your emotions, your thoughts, okay? We are going to be taking the right steps into creating this real world that we deserve to live in, and it's happening. So you've already won. Now, what you need to do is be patient, love yourself, okay? Approach your child, be there for your child, hug your child, love your child, okay? And understand that they need parents to give them love, to appreciate them, not to judge them, okay? And make sure their temple is clean, okay? Now try, putting some chocolate sugar in your engine of a car, okay? I assure you it will stop. Get away from medications, anything that's addictive, okay? Do whatever you feel is right, but conservatively, okay? Do not abuse that part. Allow love to take place at home, okay? Allow dialogue, okay? And remember to keep your child in a vibration of happiness. I always remind people that there is no way to happiness. Happiness is the way. Until you can actually get out of this world where you're, constantly spending time on a survival mode instead of a thriving mode. So be there for your children, love your children, talk to your children, okay? Take time with your children. If he's playing with the ant, sit down, watch that ant, laugh, ask questions about that ant, answer questions that he has about that ant, okay? Anything can be fun. Remember, children are being programmed. So it's up to you to either embrace this world and explain that this is a world of love or fear. It's your direction. And get rid of the phones and the laptops and the computers and all that stuff. Minimize their engagement in it, okay? And make it a point for them to understand that school is about fun. Don't, some of us have teenagers that are 10 or 14 years old, and we're constantly stressing them and, expecting the perfect grade. Chill, relax, okay? Most of the most successful people in the world, didn't even finish university. The owner of KFC started the whole KFC empire when he was 65 years old. So don't judge your children in any way. Allow them to be themselves.
Beautiful, Fayez. Good. There's still some what we got to do as individuals before we can pass that on to our kids.
Remember, we already have an ambassador in Australia, and he's doing a terrific job. Okay, and I love him with all my heart. And most importantly, One Small Town is being activated, as I said, all around the world. So expect this change to come sooner than you think to a town near you. And with the power of the online world, we're going to be able to supply this information online in terms of courses, in terms of curriculums, in terms of certifications, whatever you want to call it. And please contact us. We're not some United Nations world where, we have secretaries and we get back to you with emails or automated responses. We are human beings. We are the brothers and sisters. We are your tribe. So just call us and contact us. On our website, onesmalltown.org, you will see a list of all the ambassadors. And on that, you will find Mr. Mark Burden, who is an amazing man, who is from Australia. I don't know if it's Adelaide or Sydney. And you can contact him and get involved. And, you can become a patriot. You can purchase our One Small tokens again, which is our community token backed by sweat equity, backed by our tangible assets and investments that we're doing. This is real money. And you can support us in that way because the funds are going to be distributed to all the offices around the world and then to all the different investments that we're doing. And obviously, we know what you need. We know that the human being needs clean air, water, food, preventive medicine, education, houses. So we are going to be supplying all our villages with the basic essentials. And most importantly, we are sharing our inventories. So even if, Adelaide doesn't produce honey, we will be, exporting honey to Adelaide. Although, anything can be farmed.
Yeah, it's going back to creating it yourself instead of trying to get it from somewhere else.
So much fun in being a beekeeper. Oh, such a beautiful world.
Yeah, I'm excited about creating this whole new world for these kids because the school system right now is just like, it's so hard to watch. Like now that we understand what's going on and we've been through it, it's just, to just see them just losing their spark and their spirit. Those schools are set up to just completely disseminate them.
Again, it's very difficult. I can talk all I want about me and my family, but 80% of, specific family members are completely programmed, completely brainwashed. And this is why we're going to end the conversation repeating the quote. whenever you feel like. I still have a lot of time. And they are the illiterate ones. So we really need to take our time in breaking, that rock and then remolding it. Okay, and it's very important. Yeah, go ahead.
I completely agree. What I'm seeing is with my conversations and, being part of trying to move them, even the ones that are doing the first 5 years at home with their kids, right? So there's a large percentage of parents that are staying home with their kids. They're not sending them to childcare because they don't want to immunize them. They're staying at home with them. But then when it comes to school age, like when they're 5 or 6, they end up sending them to school. Because what I think I've come to a conclusion is when it comes down to it, there is still a need for the materialism stuff. So they still want the career, they still want the money, and they're like, well, I don't want to look after my kid all the time. What do you see with that gap? What's your take on that? Are you seeing that too? Like, you see 80% are still not having that thought process. I'm seeing that too.
Remember, there's definitely a left brain and a right brain going on. A lot of those, the illiterate of the 21st century have lost a lot of compassion and love. And there's, for them, there is no other way. We need to address it completely. Again, I can't tell you that you're independent and you're going to be self-sustainable and force you to still get medicine from, the World Health Organization. Independence means independence. So these children really need to see the amazing development and the progress and the big advantage of this new economy or new village or new setup that we have created, which is why we're taking everything in consideration. I mean, part of what we're doing, an amazing movement right now in Ras Al Khaimah, One Small Town, is a creative world where we're inviting musicians and actors and singers. In our academy, which is sponsored by the sale of our beautiful NFTs and our gallery, we're teaching robotics and we're teaching blockchain technology and beekeeping and everything, because kids need to be happy. Adults need to be happy. In terms of let them look after themselves, definitely. But that's the idea of independence, that a child realizes that I can access food from my farm, that I can access clothes, that I can access toys, that I can travel around the world now that I'm part of this One Small Town community. Now, when you're giving those parents this alternative system, why would they ever push them or force their children to go back to school or, or universities that we know of? So I think that, that's the answer. Now, in the meantime, this isn't for everybody. I mean, to actually get to a point where you can say that, I'm an earthling, okay, and I have England in my heart and Nigeria and Venezuela and New York and Lebanon, and I see all the continents as, my brothers. It's not everyone can say that. I 25 years ago, I was living in ego, not in eco. It was about me, not we. So I went through my natural process of growing and, being enlightened. And I always give the example of Greg Braden, where he says that you need to go from being someone to no one to everyone. Okay, so it's a natural process. Now, parents or humans in general, they like to be given different options and they like to be shown the way. And this is what One Small Town is going to be about. Once you see the superiority of being in this alternative system, no one's going to say no. No one's going to resist it or reject it. On the contrary, it will be embraced. Okay, and we're not going to have an issue there.
Okay, all right. So is that it's really that they don't feel like they can step away from work because they don't feel like they can sustain a lifestyle that they really want because they're not supported in all the different facets that life involves. And One Small Town will counter that.
Yes, correct. Exactly. Plus give the opportunity, to travel around the world. I mean, for me to actually stay right now in a village and, engage in, yesterday I was on a farm for 4 hours alone, taking measurements, because I'm so at peace. I'm so relaxed. I've lived New York. I've lived Miami. I've, lived London. I've been Europe. I lived Africa. I lived South. I've experienced life. Like now I'm so grounded. Okay. Now, when you're young, you don't have that grounding. Okay. Because you still want to travel and you still want to engage. My niece just went to New York and came back. She came back as a different person, just a much happier person. So we want our One Small Town members to travel all around the world. And now that we have, villages all around the world, it's going to be so easy in terms of traveling, the tourism, the costs, the experience, the love. Okay. They're always going to be constantly pumped and they're going to be learning languages and cultures. And most importantly, allowing themselves to remain on a frequency of love, which is the best, most important language of all.
Of course. I just hope it is the majority. When you said like you can't see everyone doing it, I'm like, no, everyone has to live this way. It's the only way we're going to be able to sustain. That's how I see the new world. We'll all be living this way. There'll be no other way left.
Look, all of us want to be happy. All of us want to be at peace. Okay, at least 90% of it. Now, 80% don't know that there's an alternative system. They don't know about the way. So it's our job to make it happen and then to market it. Okay, we want the Kim Kardashian reality show showing how our lives have changed, and that's what's going to happen. And then the domino effect will take place, and everybody will join. Now, who will be resisting the 0.1%? They're not even the 1%, who are the top of the pyramid, who will resist and will reject and will try to fight. Which is why we don't want to fight them. Okay, we forgive them, we love them, we understand that they were in a gridlock, they suffered, they're part of this evil agenda. Okay, we're just going to ignore them and create this new system, alternative system. But there will be a little bit of resistance. Okay, we need to forgive. We need to be the bigger, father or brother or mother, and see them as a bunch of kids. Not all of them have their brains, and move forward.
Bring it on! I say, I am ready. I'm ready.
I think this is going to be a continuous conversation. We'll definitely have more interviews, and hopefully you will also be interviewing other ambassadors at some point. We've won. Okay, get involved with One Small Town, participate, help where you can, understand that you are part of this incredible universe. There's no reason to be upset or sad or fearful. Okay. The quote is, the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read or write, okay, but those who cannot unlearn the many lies that they have been conditioned to believe and seek out the hidden knowledge that they have been conditioned to reject. Okay, so beware of those, okay, and start learning and start unlearning. And again, I thank you for your beautiful work. I thank all the One Small Town members, the ambassadors. Follow us on our Facebook pages, okay? One Small Town Lebanon, One Small Town UK, One Small Town Canada, One Small Town Australia, and go to our website, onesmalltown.org, and be the change you wish to see in this world.
Yes, thank you for bringing all of this into our vision, into our reality, because it's people like you that are really making this happen and just living it now. We can't wait for anything. Like you said, we're not waiting for anything. You're just doing it and making it happen. And we need more people like that doing that. So thank you for doing that and giving us and showing us the way and showing people the way and what they can do and giving us hope and faith. And I'm just so excited.
The cake's being baked, so take your time, enjoy it, because you're about to eat something delicious. And remember, when you're planting, it's all about the intention. Put that seed, cover it, and allow the beautiful sun and the rainwater to do its magic. Okay? Be present, my brothers and sisters. Love to all. For anyone that has questions, you can always email me on Lebanon at onesmalltown.org. Okay? Lebanon at onesmalltown.org. One thing, in my last interview, I ended it with the yellow chakra. It's not the yellow chakra, it's the red one, okay, the base one, which is the I am, okay, so I am that I am.
Love how you're just fixing that up. Great, thank you. Thanks, Fayez.